Welcome to the Think Forward podcast, where we speak with futurists, innovators, and big thinkers. Come along with your host, Steve Fisher, and explore the future together.
Welcome back to Foundations in Foresight, a Think Forward series. I'm Steve Fisher, and today we're exploring a powerful foresight technique that flips traditional planning on its head, backcasting. In our last episode, we explored spectrum scenario planning, how to develop rich, multi-layered futures using spectrum layer analysis and design fiction techniques. We learned to create divergent scenarios that help us navigate uncertainty and test strategies across multiple possible futures. But what if you have a clear vision of where you want to go? What if, beyond exploring what might happen, you want to actively shape what should happen? That's where backcasting comes in, a strategic approach that starts with your preferred future and works backward to determine what needs to happen to get there. Today, we'll explore how backcasting complements our scenario planning work, why it's particularly valuable when navigating super shifts, and how you can use it to create actionable roadmaps toward your preferred futures. Let's dive in. First, let's understand what backcasting actually is. Unlike forecasting, which starts with the present and projects forward based on current trends, backcasting begins with a vision of a desirable future and works backward to identify the policies, programs, and actions needed to connect that future to the present. Think of it this way. Forecasting asks, what might happen based on what we see today? Backcasting asks, if this is where we want to be, what needs to happen to get us there? It's not just prediction, it's strategic pathfinding. This approach is particularly valuable when dealing with complex challenges shaped by super shifts, where incremental change won't suffice and transformative approaches are needed. Whether you're addressing sustainability transitions, technological disruptions, or organizational transformation, backcasting helps you navigate from vision to action. So how does backcasting work in practice? Let's break it down into clear steps. First, clearly articulate your preferred future. This isn't a vague hope. It's a vivid, detailed vision of success. What does your ideal future look like in 10, 20, or even 30 years? What has changed? What problems have been solved? What new opportunities have emerged? Use the world-building techniques we've explored to make this future concrete and multidimensional. Consider how your preferred future addresses key super shifts trademarks. If eco-awakening is reshaping how we think about sustainability, what does success look like in a regenerative economy? If IntelliFusion is merging human and machine intelligence, what would a positive version of that integration look like? Be specific about dates and measurable outcomes. Instead of saying, we want a more sustainable business, specify something like, by 2035, our company operates with net positive environmental impact, with fully circular product designs and zero waste in our supply chain. Next, identify the major milestones between that future and today. What are the critical achievements, shifts, or developments that must happen to reach your vision? These aren't just activities, they're substantive changes in systems, capabilities, or conditions. Working backward from your preferred future, map these milestones on a timeline. What needs to happen by 2035? By 2030? By 2028? By 2025? Continue until you reach the present. This creates a reverse chronology, a pathway from the future to now. For each milestone, dig deeper. What specific changes in technology, policy, organization, skills, or mindsets would be required? What obstacles might emerge, and how could they be overcome? Who are the key stakeholders that need to be involved? This is where the layered approach we've used in spectrum scenario planning becomes valuable again, considering structural, cultural, and systemic dimensions of change. Finally, translate this backward pathway into a forward-looking roadmap with clear, actionable priorities for the present and near future. What needs to happen in the next 6 months? The next year? The next 3 years? This bridges visionary thinking with practical action. Let me share an example to make this concrete. Imagine a city aiming to become carbon neutral by 2040. Rather than starting with current carbon reduction initiatives and projecting forward incrementally, they would begin by vividly envisioning what a carbon-neutral city actually looks like in 2040, detailing its transportation systems, building infrastructure, energy sources, and community practices. Working backward, they might identify milestones like, by 2035, all municipal buildings run on 100% renewable energy. By 2030, 80% of urban transportation is electric or human-powered. By 2028, new building codes require net zero construction. By 2025, the city has established community solar programs in all neighborhoods. For each milestone, they'd specify the necessary policy changes, infrastructure investments, stakeholder engagements, and behavior shifts. This backward mapping reveals dependencies and timing requirements that might be missed in conventional planning. Perhaps certain technologies need to mature, or funding mechanisms need to be established, or public support needs to be built before key initiatives can succeed. The result is a strategic roadmap that connects long-term vision with immediate action, making transformation manageable while maintaining sight of the larger goal. Backcasting is particularly powerful when navigating super shifts because it helps overcome several common barriers to transformation. First, it breaks free from present-day constraints. Starting from the future liberates your thinking from current limitations, allowing you to envision possibilities beyond incremental improvements. This is essential when super shifts are fundamentally reshaping what's possible. Second, it creates a shared vision that can align diverse stakeholders. When people see a compelling future and understand how to get there, they're more likely to support transformative change, even if it involves short-term disruption or investment. Third, it reveals non-obvious dependencies and timing considerations. By working backward, you identify what needs to happen first, second, and third, exposing critical path issues that might be missed in conventional planning. And finally, it connects long-term vision with immediate action. This bridges the gap between future thinking and present doing, a challenge many organizations struggle with when trying to respond to super shifts trademarks. Of course, backcasting does come with challenges. One common pitfall is creating preferred futures that are too utopian or unrealistic. Your vision should be ambitious but plausible, stretching what's possible without snapping credulity. Another challenge is failing to account for external factors or resistance. Your backward pathway should address potential obstacles, competing interests, and external developments that might accelerate or impede progress. And perhaps most importantly, backcasting requires ongoing adaptation. As conditions change and new information emerges, both your preferred future and the pathway to it may need adjustment. Rigid adherence to an outdated roadmap is as problematic as having no roadmap at all. So how can you integrate backcasting with the scenario planning approaches we've already explored? These methods are complementary, not contradictory. Spectrum scenario planning helps you explore multiple possible futures and build resilience across them. Backcasting helps you actively shape your preferred future from among those possibilities. Together, they create a powerful strategic approach, one that prepares you for multiple futures while actively working toward the future you want. A robust foresight practice might include both, using scenario planning to explore the range of possible futures, using backcasting to chart a course toward your preferred future, and using ongoing scanning and sensing to adjust your approach as conditions evolve. For example, a company navigating digital transformation might develop scenarios exploring different ways technology could reshape their industry. They'd use backcasting to design a strategic pathway toward their preferred version of that transformation, and they'd regularly revisit both their scenarios and their backcasting roadmap as new technologies emerge, customer preferences shift, or competitive dynamics change. Let's bring all this together with a practical approach. Backcasting isn't just a planning technique, it's a way of thinking that combines vision with pragmatism, imagination with action. By starting with a clear picture of success and working backward to the present, you create a strategic pathway that connects your preferred future with immediate priorities. So here's my challenge for you. Choose one domain significantly affected by a super shift. It could be your organization, your community, or even your personal career. Define a preferred future for this domain 10 to 15 years out. Make it vivid and specific, addressing how you'd like to see the super shift play out in positive ways. Then, work backward. What needs to happen by the 8-year mark? The 5-year mark? The 3-year mark? The 1-year mark? For each milestone, identify the specific changes, capabilities, or conditions required. Finally, translate this into 3 to 5 immediate priorities, things you can start working on in the next 3 months. This exercise doesn't just clarify your thinking, it transforms how you approach the future, shifting from reaction to intention, from adaptation to creation. In our next episode, we'll explore how to develop truly future-proof strategies, approaches that are robust across multiple scenarios while actively advancing toward your preferred future. We'll integrate scenario planning and backcasting into a comprehensive strategic framework that thrives amid transformation. Until then, keep imagining preferred futures, charting pathways backward, and as always, think forward.
Thanks for listening to the Think Forward podcast. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms and at www.thinkforwardshow.com, as well as on YouTube under Think Forward Show. See you next time.